You mentioned, single specialty investments, right? In the past, you've been with, you've built Wockhardt. You were the global CEO of Fortis. Right? You've spent a lot of time building large multi-specialty organizations. And now with AHH, you are driving the investments into single specialty organizations, right? So what about single specialty has become the key for you as a thematic investment for AHH? What is about single specialty that is driving your interest?
Yeah, so it's very interesting actually. I came back to India from Singapore in 2014. I was in Singapore working on Fortis's global expansion, and we had healthcare assets in 14 different countries. I had two choices. I had one choice, which was to just stay in that part of the world, and the other was to probably take the leap and come back to India. And I chose to come back to India basically because I felt that this demand-supply gap which is there in healthcare, it also requires a very differentiated thinking in more ways than one. We all know that we need scale. We all know that the country is large enough and the gap is too wide. And we know that when we build large multi-specialty institutions, from the time that you dig ground in one and to the time that it actually becomes viable or actually begins to get filled with good volume and value of patients, it's a 5-year journey. Now, how many such hospitals can you make in 5, 7, 10 years? Right? It's a very limited number of hospitals that we can make, and that's why the biggest players today, whether it is the Apollo Group, the Fortis Group, the Maxes of the world, and now Manipal, if you take a look at the combined beds that they all have, they are still talking about reaching a 10,000 bed capacity, right? And this is over a 35-year time frame. So I felt that there is a great opportunity in terms of going small, but going impactful. And the idea there was that single specialty institutions, while they may come in small boxes, but one, they can have great clinical impact, and second, you can drive their growth very, very quickly. So the first institution that we built in AHH was actually out of Hyderabad. This is a company called AOI, American Oncology Institute, which was just one oncology center in 2016 or 17 when we invested. And by 2019, we already had 16 oncology centers around the country. Motherhood hospitals, which when we got in as AHH, was just 3 hospitals in the city of Bangalore. Today, Motherhood is touching about 30 hospitals around the country. Nova IVF was 19 centers in 2019. We are in 2024. Nova is touching its 90th center. Now, with AINU, we have 7 hospitals, and you know that we are making a very fast progress in terms of the number of new hospitals that we are launching across the country.
Right.
Now, this kind of scale and growth is unprecedented in the multi-specialty side. And therefore, I think the future around single specialty care is not just clinically very relevant, but it is also economically very relevant. Because when I take a look at the return on capital invested behind many of our enterprises, we are in the range of about 30-35% of capital invested and return on that. The multi-specialty institutions sit at about 10-11%, which just goes to show that you can do so much more with the capital at work in order to create size and scale. And of course, back good clinicians, back good clinical enterprises for their growth.